Yo! What is up, you guys? Ron here, and welcome back to a brand new series of GoPro e-workshop. You ask, we answer. First and foremost, I want to give you a huge high five for tuning in to today's e-workshop and for all of your questions that you have asked us. I also want to encourage you to stay to the end of the workshop because I will be sharing with you a GoPro Pocket Guide for you to download. In this series, myself and our moderators will attempt to answer all of the questions that you might have regarding GoPro. So, without further ado, let's go! What can I do if my GoPro freezes up underwater? Well, why? That is a great question that I'm sure some of us on this call can relate to, especially when we are out on a shoot. So, here is a very simple yet effective troubleshooting tip. What you want to do is to press and hold on to the mode button of your GoPro camera for 10 seconds, and that will prompt your camera to do a reset. Like this, imitating what we call a battery pool. This method is especially effective when you're underwater or doing water sports because you do not want to be opening the battery door around water bodies. It's just not safe, you guys. That said, in most cases, when your GoPro is freezing up persistently, it usually is an indicator that your GoPro camera might need a firmware update or that you might be using an incompatible SD card. So whatever the case may be, I highly recommend you to keep your GoPro up to date with the latest firmware and use a compatible SD card. And in the instance where you are using a compatible SD card, you might want to try to format it using the delete all function in your GoPro camera. Go give it a try. Which is better, GoPro HERO9 or GoPro Max? Aswan, I assume that you are intending to buy a new camera, so congratulations. In fact, this is actually one of our most popular questions that we get asked all the time. For the record, there isn't a better or worse off camera. Both the HERO9 and GoPro Max are such distinct cameras that serve a different purpose. Both the cameras are top of the line in their respective categories. So, Aswan, maybe here are 3 questions that you should be asking yourself to help guide you in making that decision. Number 1, do you intend to capture 360 content? If your answer is yes, then the decision is very simple. GoPro Max will be the choice because the HERO9 is not able to capture 360 content. Number 2, do you intend to capture underwater content? If your answer is yes, then the HERO9 will be your preferred option because of the flat lens that the HERO9 has. In contrast, the GoPro Max has a curvature lens, and because of the spherical lens and refraction underwater, it usually results in a blurry image. And that is why I don't recommend to use their GoPro Max to capture underwater content. Number 3, do you intend to capture high resolutions and high frame rates, for epic slow motion shots? Well, if your answer is yes again, then HERO9 will be your camera of choice because HERO9 has the ability to capture up to 5K and up to 240 frames a second. On the other hand, even though the GoPro Max can capture 5.6K spherical video, when you are reframing your video in post, you will only be able to get a 1080p export. Because of all of these reasons, that is why whenever I'm out on a trip or a shoot, I always carry both my GoPro Max and HERO9. That is my personal preference. Aswan, I hope you have a much clearer understanding on which camera model to suit you better. How do I achieve the widest ever POV for my shot? Max lens mod, GoPro Max. Well, my friend, here is my personal tip. To achieve the widest ever POV, I would recommend using the GoPro Max and capture your shot in 360. That way, by capturing everything, you are able to reframe it in post and decide how wide you want your shot to be. Here is an example. You know, in this shot here, I mounted the GoPro Max onto my bike mount and captured it in 360. And in post, I reframed it with roll lock so that you are seeing this immersive POV. While we are on this topic, I'm always a very huge advocate of camera safety. You can notice that I have my lanyard attached to my bike mount. And the main reason for this, it's security. So in the instance where I get a massive wipeout, I will not end up losing my GoPro camera. So guys, whenever you're out doing an activity or dangerous spot, make sure that you always have your camera secured. How do I improve my GoPro photography and videography skills? Lukman, the short answer to this is keep trying, keep shooting, and never stop experimenting with your ideas. The more you shoot, the more you will understand about your GoPro camera and what you like and dislike about the kind of content that you capture. That's it. You know, here are some tips that I would recommend you. Number one, turn on the grid lines on your GoPro. I always have my grid lines turned on because it makes it so much easier for me to compose and to frame up my shot. Number two, utilize the exposure control function. Simply tap and hold the touch screen and you will realize that you bring up a small square on screen that you can control to see where you want to expose your image. Because I always feel a better exposed image makes your content look more professional. While we are on that topic, Lukman, I actually recently did a YouTube video regarding some tips on GoPro photography. So I'm gonna put it into the chat and you can check it out. So I hope that helps. And that's it for this week's GoPro e-workshop. You ask, we answer. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the first ever session of this series. I really appreciate all of you for staying tuned to the end. And as promised, on screen right now is the link to download the GoPro Pocket Guide. I hope that I've answered all of your questions to my bestest ability. And if I have not, please feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram account. For those of you who know me, I take the time to answer each and every one of your DMs. While you are at it, you are more than welcome to also drop me a feedback on what do you think about this kind of workshop. And if you have any other ideas for future sessions. If not, I will see you guys in the next upload.